And I stole it. It's called capitalism. Chances. Final triumph.
A few times in my life I've seen things.
A theme tune as iconic as its character, the Indiana Jones quadrilogy is now a pentalogy, and the fifth installment is a 5-star classic. Exceeding all expectations, Indy has whipped the critics, blown up the box office, and re-established himself as the most famous adventurer in the history of the silver screen. This Indiana Jones is not just any Indiana Jones, he's the quintessential Indy, a man for modern times, with a story for modern audiences. Here is how Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny has turned the dial up to 11. In the first 4 movies, the hero of the Indiana Jones franchise was Indiana Jones, beloved archaeology professor by day, rugged anti-hero by night. He was fast with his whip, faster with a quip, and ever ready to make a trip all around the world for a MacGuffin. The Ark of the Covenant, the Sankara Stones, the Holy Grail, even an alien see-through skull. He stopped at nothing to make sure all ancient artifacts found their way to a museum. Throughout the franchise, it was clear he called the shots, he landed the women, and he fought the men. Indiana Jones was the star of Indiana Jones. In 2023, that's a problem. Modern audiences do not want men, straight white men, spearheading big summer blockbusters. They want progression, diversity, justice. They want a straight white woman. Enter Phoebe Waller-Bridge, a feminine sensation, a catalyst for change, a woman to bridge the gap between old white antique anti-heroes and modern progressive Wonder Women. The star of Indiana Jones 5 is not Indiana Jones, but Helena Shaw, and she sure is sure of herself. In previous indie adventures, the women had weaknesses, flaws. They were sometimes fragile. Marion Ravenwood, she drank men under the table, smoked like a chimney, but still played a damsel in a white dress waiting for Alpha Indy to race to her rescue. Willie Scott, Great Scott, username does not check out. She's no Willie, not even a wet one. She spends half of Temple of Doom screaming, and the other half batting her eyelashes. Dr. Elsa, an art professor, now we're talking. But not for long. After doing the 007 and Indiana Jones double, she typically falls into the Hollywood fridge. In Crystal Skull, Marion comes back, as feisty as ever, but, you guessed it, puts back on the white dress. The women of Indiana Jones were never heroes, they were wives, girlfriends, and corpses. Not anymore. Phoebe Waller-Bridge makes a stunning turn as the genius, audacious damsel without distress, Helena Shaw. While Indy's hippie university students can barely string a sentence together, she strings together string theory. She has the answer to every question, the solution to every problem. She is the alpha, the omega, and the in-between. In Indy 5, she is no woman on the side, she is the woman at the centre of all the action. She drives the plot, finds the MacGuffin, without no help from no man, and saves Indy's life more times than an inflatable raft or a refrigerator. Indiana Jones 5 is not the 5th installment of a retiring franchise, but the birth of a new one. This is Phoebe Waller-Bridge and the Dial of a Superwoman's Destiny. Indiana Jones 5 in Indy 5 is not even a shadow of his former self, because Waller-Bridge's eclipse is total. The closest modern Indy gets to iconic Indy is in the form of a CGI flashback. Hunting down the Antikythera, a fancy watch made by Archimedes, the CGI Indy is fully believable. Until he opens his mouth.
Away from the Nazis!
He has the voice of an 80-year-old. He runs like he's playing in a five-a-side match on Craggy Island. In the year of the moon landing, Old Indy is introduced as an old man in his underpants complaining about noisy neighbours. His wife's left him and his son's dead. Sorry, Mutt, your dreams of the titular role have been put down forever. Gone are the days when women fell in love with Professor Jones. Now they fall asleep in a scene reminiscent of Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Anyone? Anyone? Raised tariffs. Did it work? Anyone? Anyone know the effects?
His jet-setting MacGuffin days are over. Everyone around him believes it is now Indiana Jones who belongs in a museum, if not a retirement home or a coffin. This is not Indiana Jones 5, but Indiana Jones. Is he still alive? Without his godly goddaughter stealing his Antikythera, the antique antihero, or as Helena calls him, the aging grave robber, would be counting down the days like the Holy Night. Indy 5 also marks the progressive return of the Asian kid sidekick. Stepping into the shoes of the Oscar-winning short round is a tall order, but Teddy is no teddy bear. He's a sneaky little so-and-so who loves Helena and questions why they should listen to an old white fossil like Dr. Jones. Short round idolized Indy. This kid rightly idolizes Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Antonio Banderas also makes an heroic turn as Ronaldo, not a famous footballer, but an old captain of an old boat who speaks with the same intelligibility as Gerald from Clarkson's farm.
Then you indulge with these boys then. See what I mean? Oh, yeah.
Indy's old friend Salah returns for about 5 minutes to give Indy a ride in the back seat of his cab and cook him dinner. As Indy sets off on a new adventure to sit in another backseat for a modern hero, free of flaws, imperfections, or indeed human personality, Salah reminisces about a time when men were men, women were women, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge was a bridge too far. No adventure is complete without an adventurous antagonist. The Indiana Jones franchise is as famous for its villains as its heroes. A giant ball, snakes, Germans. Indy made sure a great power would never get in the wrong hands of an evil power. In Raiders, French archaeologist Belloc hunted down the Ark of the Covenant so the Axis powers could unleash its ancient power to make their armies invincible. In the end, he was blinded by his own hubris and scant regard for the dangers of mystical technology. Temple of Doom, Mola Ram tried to rip Indy's heart out and feed him to crocodiles to lay his hands on the all-powerful Sankara stones. Indy had other ideas, and the child-slaving human sacrificer became Crocodile Brunch. In The Last Crusade, business mogul Walter Donovan chased immortality, but found himself drinking from his own arrogance as his immortal search was mortally cut short. 3 movies, 3 male villains. 20th century Indiana Jones was heroically male and tragically masculine. 2008 brought change, real change. The chief villain was now a woman with a bob. She may have had a man's haircut and sounded like she just walked off the set of Austin Powers.
Colonel Dr. Irina Spelko.
But she was the one, the evil one. In true Indy tradition, she came face to face with her own pride and lost her face. Who is the 5th villain, the final villain, the last antagonist is? On first impressions, a huge step backwards. A white man, again, a straight one. Indiana Jones has gone back to the Stone Age. But wait, this is the villain. A villain can always be a straight white male, as long as he is truly irredeemable. And Jürgen Voller is evil personified. He is more evil than any evil person in Indiana Jones history. Not only is he chasing down Archimedes' lost dial to change the outcome of World War II, he is blatantly racist. Despite living in the United States for 30 years and receiving commendations from the president, he asks an African-American man where he is really from. Voller is the perfect modern villain, a straight white male racist. Voller's henchmen are only 99% henchmen. At the beginning, there is a woman, an African-American woman. She is CIA and my way, or the highway. Mason is a kick-ass, badass, foxy brown CIA super queen helping Voller help the American government. The other cronies, bumbling white male idiots who need Mason to tie their shoelaces. Accepting a strong, independent woman like Mason as a villain is nigh on impossible, until she turns on Waller and dies a hero. An Indiana Jones movie is only as good as its ancient artifact, the MacGuffin. Archimedes' Antikythera is the greatest of them all. A timeless timepiece. It is capable of time travel. Waller the villain uses it to catapult himself and his associates to 1939 to turn the tide of the war. But he makes one crucial mistake. He may have developed the V-2 rocket and helped put men on the moon, but he did not realize that Archimedes had no concept of continental drift. Instead of 1939, Waller, Indy, Helena, Teddy Boy are flung to 212 BC, the siege of Syracuse. The Romans are storming Sicily, but some of them notice a World War II fighter plane has entered the arena. The Romans throw their primitive spears thousands of feet in the air at Waller's men in the jet and force them down. They crash in a fiery ball. It seems the Romans would have also won World War II in half a day. Waller dies at the hands of his own hubris, believing he can change the course of history when he can't even beat a Roman legion with a fighter jet and a machine gun turret. Indiana Jones and Helena escape by parachute, but the old man has been shot. Indy says his time's up and he wants to die in the past with Archimedes. Helena says he has to go back, but he won't listen. Is this the end for Indy? No. In a scene reminiscent of Peter and Wendy, Helena smacks him in the face and brings him back to the future. Indy's not dying, not on my watch. The aging grave robber wakes up, alive, and Helena has a surprise for him. Marion Ravenwood, the love of his life, who already left him and sent divorce papers. Somehow, Marion returned. See, Helena was right. She's always right. Indiana Jones' final cinematic moment, a slap in the face. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny lives up to the billing. A 5-star triumph, a cinematic classic. Indy is now a modern man for a modern audience. No longer the hero in his own movie, he's an old sideshow making way for modernity. Phoebe Waller-Bridge brings down barriers and shows that any woman can be Indiana Jones, as long as she is a stunning and brave, flawless genius adventurer. Indy 5 gets a 5-star recommendation and a 5-star thank you to Disney for once again bringing justice to a beloved franchise.